Hey, Empowered Disruptors, Sonja Sales here, your business empowerment growth strategist, where I help you overcome life challenges and start empowered online businesses. Okay, so I had recorded a video concerning starting a dream business, and I felt like I needed to elaborate and provide some more talking points about things that you normally don't hear people talking about concerning a dream business. You will hear people telling you about discovering your niche and all those things, but it's other areas that you need to consider as well when starting your dream business. One of the things you need to consider is your reason for getting into this whole entrepreneurship journey. It is so much to it, and it can be both challenging and rewarding. So you need to ask yourself, what is my reason for wanting to start this dream business? Only you can answer that question. My reason for starting an online business is because I wanted to obtain financial and lifestyle freedom. I had saw so many people, before me that had transitioned from this world and they died with dreams or they never even tapped into their full potential. Many of my family members were like poor. Like I grew up poor and I saw like my grandparents, they lived in poverty. And I just did not want that for myself. And for me, I told myself that I want to obtain lifestyle and financial freedom through entrepreneurship. And that became my mission to help others do the same. But sometimes it's not enough to just say, oh, I just want lifestyle freedom or, oh, I just want, financial freedom. But you have to really dig deep and really ask yourself, like, what does that mean? You know, how would that look? How would it feel once I obtain financial freedom? What would that look like? How would that feel? And visualize that. And that will also help you stay rooted to your why. Like you have to have a deep why as to why you're doing what you're doing. You know, I remember whenever I connected with my deeper why, it was not about that superficial, just glossing over, oh, for more time or for money. It's like it has to be deeper than that. And so for me, I took myself back. I did a life in review. And for me, what connected me with my why was my grandmother. She passed away in 2008. And I remember I was out of state I was working in the medical field and I was out of state on a job assignment and she passed away. And I had to fly out to her funeral. And I remember thinking like, man, you know, she didn't see me go after my bigger goal and dreams. And I remember before I flew back, had to fly back out because it was like literally I flew out that Friday. The funeral was that Saturday, and then I had to fly back out that Sunday so I can go to work that Monday. And I remember I went to her gravesite before I left Texas, and I remember making a vow right there before her and God. And I remember saying, Grandma, I'm going to be the one. I am going to be the one to make something of herself. I'm going to be the one to break this generational curse off this family of poverty. I'm going to be that one. And I don't care how long it takes me, but I promise you, I'm going to be that one. I don't care how long it takes me to get these businesses where it needs to be. I'm going to be that one. And there are times where since 2008, if I'm being transparent, I wanted to give up. I remember times since 2008. I mean, it was so much growing pains. It was so much inner working that I had to do in order to be prepared to step into that role as an entrepreneur. Because if I would have started it back then with the mindset I had back then by now, I wouldn't be on the scenes. So sometimes things happen the way it happened, but I made sure that I wasn't going to give up. And I'm so glad that I didn't just look at myself and say, you know what? I started that back in 2008, and now it's 2015 or 2020 or 2024, and it's too late. No, I was like, I don't care. As long as I have breath in my body, it's not too late. And I'm going to achieve my goals. And I don't care if I have to go out there and work two jobs and get back in the race in order to fund my own dreams. I will do what I need to do. But one thing I won't do, I won't give up. And I wanted to share that because you need to know your reason as to why you're doing what you're doing. You need to have such a deep why to where when the world says throw in the towel, that small voice is telling you to keep going. And you say, you know what? I'm going to go with the minority. That small voice in my head that's telling me not to give up, to keep going, and I have what it takes. Okay. So that's one thing that you need to consider concerning starting your dream business. Another thing you need to consider when starting your dream business is counting the cost. Okay. And counting the cost is twofold. Number one, you need to count the cost concerning what will it take, literally, to keep this business going. What are the costs of my startup costs concerning my business expenses? You know, you need to realistically say, okay, what if I don't make that first sale or the first five sales that I need in order to cover my business expenses? What if it really does take me 90 days before I start really, getting my footing into this thing, or 6 months? So you really need to count the startup cost realistically of what it's going to take for you to sustain all your personal expenses that you have going on in your life, plus the business expenses as well, so that you can still have your professional presence and you can still flow and grow into this new role as an entrepreneur. But the second part of counting the cost is, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to make your dreams happen? Are you willing to experience short term discomfort for long term comfort? See, for me, you know, I sacrificed a lot. There were times where I couldn't go and, go to the parties or the events or, the little outings that I was invited to. I just didn't have the budget for it. I wasn't going out there, buying the latest fashions and designer bags or getting my hair and nails done on a regular basis. No, I was really focused on getting my business off the ground. And I'm not saying that you have to neglect yourself, because I didn't. But realistically, all that stuff didn't matter to me. It didn't matter if I didn't have the latest fashions or the latest and the greatest whatever trend was going on with makeup. It didn't matter with me concerning that. It didn't matter if I had to miss out on some event. I'm like, okay, it'll be there, or something I was invited to. It didn't matter. All I was focused on, I know that I have what it takes to build a multi-million dollar business. That's where my mindset is at. And I know that I can't carry myself, or I can't do all the things that other people do. I know it's a word that I had to learn, and that was discipline. Another word I had to learn was sacrifice. You know, I was like, I was so blessed to have so many people support me, on so many different levels, emotionally, spiritually, financially. But at the same time, at the end of the day, this is my baby. This is my dreams, my goals, my vision. This is my purpose calling out to me. So I knew that I had to make certain sacrifices. So people would invite me to go out to eat dinner and stuff. And I'm like, nope, I don't, me, I knew that I didn't have a budget, a monthly budget anymore for that. It's like, okay, I set aside X amount for this, right? For entertainment purposes. And I'm not going to, you know, dig into, let's say, the money that I have for my business for the sake of just going out and having a good time with friends. Like, if they're really my friends, they understand. That was just my mentality, you know? It was like, okay, instead of me going to the nail salon and getting my, getting a mani and a pedi, I was like, okay, I could go to my local store. I can get the things to give myself my own manicure and pedicure until that season comes. And then I have all the money in the world to where if I want to get that done on a regular basis. And so this is what I mean by short-term discomfort for long-term comfort. You have to count the cost. There are going to be times where everyone else get to go to the football games on Fridays, but that's the only time that you have to work on your business. Or it may be where you're having to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to work on your business because you know that you have to get the children up for school at 6:30. That's counting the cost, or it may be where you have to stay up late. You have to find ways to get it done. You have to count the cost. You have to count the cost that it may take longer for you to hit your revenue goals than you initially expected. You have to count the cost in that. It's like, okay, this is the cost that I'm paying right now to one day have this extraordinary business. You know, am I going to stay in the race? In a race? Am I going to dig deep and do what it takes in order to birth out this greatness? Because I know that I have what it takes to transform the lives of others. You have to count the cost. And not everyone is going to understand what it's costing you to go after your dreams. So don't be surprised if a year from now, 3 years from now, the same people who you used to call friends, they're not even your friends anymore. They're non-existent because some people are just not going to understand and you're just going to naturally grow apart. It's not that you're neglecting them. It's just that you can no longer be a waster of time because you realize that your time is so important and you realize the energy that's required, the discipline that's required in order to build a successful online business. And if people around you haven't caught the vision, right, they won't understand it. They just won't understand it. And so it goes back to, well, I can show you better than I can tell you, but they're not going to be able to comprehend it until you show them. So that means that you have to evolve and you have to grow into that role, right? So that you can become the best version of yourself. So that's my take on counting the cost. It's going to cost you something, but are you willing to pay the price, right? Are you willing to pay the price that would change the trajectory of not only your life, but future generations, you know? So, with that being said, I really hope that those additional talking points really have ignited something within you. I really hope and pray that you take inventory, as you're building your dream business so that you can build a business that you're proud of, that you can build a business that you can put your reputation on the line for, that you can build a business that empowers you to empower others, right? So that you can build a business that's going to help you rewrite your legacy for future generations. All right. Well, until next time, empower disruptors, be bold and break free.